news! Breaking news! Breaking news ish about some casting for the Avatar Last Airbender Aang movie. We'll say that's what it's called for now. Coming out October 10th, 2025. A couple of casting announcements, but we'll mainly talk about two because I looked, couldn't name you who the other people are.
I did some research before this damn podcast.
You probably know who they are. I don't, so we can talk about that. But let's start with the two. Let's start with the two big ones if you want. So let's start with Zuko.
Who's Zuko?
Zuko is a character now. Dante Bosco is confirmed coming back as Zuko. For at least this season, movie. This movie, most likely Zuko alone movie as well, the solo movie. I kind of knew it was gonna happen because he's still in the family of Avatar. He has a podcast for Avatar Studios, so I figured, or it's like the official podcast. I don't know if it's Avatar Studios, but it's the official Avatar podcast. So I figured he'd come back.
We both predicted that. Yeah.
Yeah, you did too. Yeah, so they're our number one rival, but maybe they'll make it so they have to stop, and we could be the number one Avatar podcast.
Let's go! Come on!
Let's go! Let's rise! It's time for us to rise. Yeah, but I'm happy about it. Not to be honest, not a big surprise. It's interesting. The thing that's more surprising for me, before I jump to you, is that I don't know if this matters or not, but they did not announce any other characters, like returning characters. So, Toph, Sokka, Katara, some of those characters that we thought might be announced as well. So I don't know if that just means they're not announcing, like they're not bringing them back.
That's why I'm saying that they have announced. They've announced Toph, they've announced Katara, they've announced.
Oh,
Aang.
they did.
Yes.
All the voice actors.
Yes.
Oh, this is breaking news for me.
Because this is
even Aang?
Let me steal the spotlight from you, okay?
Yeah, go ahead. Have this all day.
Okay, so the CinemaCon was this week in Vegas at Caesar's Palace from April 8th through the 11th today, and that's when they came out with the title of the movie, which is Aang, the Last Airbender. That's the name of the movie. It's tentative.
Okay.
But that's the name of the movie right now. And then that's when they
Spoiler
came
alert,
out.
He's not the Last Airbender. Because more comes like that's not actually what happens.
In terms of the storyline,
yes.
But yeah, so Aang, the Last Airbender. And you got the biggest news, probably besides the name of the title and the release date that we just mentioned, is that Dave Bautista is going to be voicing an antagonist in some form or fashion.
I wouldn't say that's the big news. I would say the big news is they're all coming back.
Not the original voice actors. I'm saying.
Oh, that's what I thought you meant.
No, I'm saying that they casted them, as in like they casted the role already.
See, that's okay. That's a negative for me then.
Yeah.
Because I knew Zuko was coming back. Like I just knew. I talked to Dante Bosco already about it. But no, but I genuinely I really wanted the original cast to come back. Maybe not Aang.
I agree.
But I really wanted like them all to come back because they are all connected to the Avatar. They still go to Comic-Cons. They still are like super connected to it. And like none of them are such big stars that it's like you can't come in a little bit. So it had to be the original creators that didn't want them back, which sucks. But it is what it is. Dang, man, that stinks. So I mean, all right. Well, Zuko's coming back. That's the most important.
Yeah, Zuko's coming back. Well, here's the thing. These voice actresses, they're going to subscribe to our podcast, Matt. You have to say that they're good actors. They're well trained in their art. We gotta bring them in. We gotta.
No, I'm not. Yeah, they could be cabbages. No, I'm not. Look, no hate. It's
Their
just
acting
it's
careers
like
are cabbages.
no, it's just like that they said, you know what, we're gonna make a Guardians of the Galaxy 4, but we're replacing Chris Pratt. It's gonna be a new actor. I'd be
No.
bummed. Now, will I give this new actor a shot? Sure. So I'm bummed that they're recasting all these characters, but they are voice. It is a voice, and obviously people's voices. A 12-year-old Toph's voice is gonna be different when she's 30. Sure, but I'll give him a chance. But it is still kind of a bumming. It's still
Look, I'm
not what I
disappointed.
would prefer.
I am
Yeah.
disappointed, but after researching who they casted, I'm like,
Go hit, yeah. Hit
we're
me
fine.
with who they are.
You don't know. You don't know. I don't know them either. But after researching, they've done stuff before that might.
Do we know anything that they've done?
Yes. So the voice of Toph
Okay.
is Dion. I might be mispronouncing this, but it's Dione Kwan. Might be pronouncing that wrong, but
Okay.
she voices Trixie Tang from Fairly Odd Parents and Kimmy from Rugrats. So she's a voice. She is a voice actress.
She's a voice actress, so that's cool. Cool.
And I replayed like a Trixie Tang clip on YouTube, and it's a little bit familiar. And obviously, it's like 20 years ago, so like voices change.
Is that
But
all she's done though?
that's what she's known for.
Okay. Well, she's a voice actress. She's a seasoned voice actress.
Yes, like she was in a Wild Thornberries episode, from what I remember, like looking on her filmography. But I think she would do Toph a little justice. At least I would hope. That gave me some like calming reassurance because I thought they're.
Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second.
Good.
Sorry, my window was up, down.
I'll
put it down because people were freaking out. So,
yep.
Go on.
But it gave me reassurance based off of her and Michaela Murphy have similar, or at least had similar, like a tone of voice in their voice acting style.
Okay.
And so that gave me kind of like a reassurance there. So Dione Kwan, again, I might be mispronouncing it. I apologize. She's Toph. And then you have Dave Bautista as the villain. We all know
We'll talk
him.
about that. We'll talk about that later.
Sure.
Anyway,
The other
you know about Sokka?
Sokka is an unknown guy named Roman, and again, I might be mispronouncing it, so I apologize, but Roman Zaragoza.
I'm okay with them recasting Sokka now that I think about it more, because he is going to be like in his like early 30s, late 20s. And I feel like Sokka was going through that puberty where, like, I could definitely see Sokka's voice being. I mean, we even saw when he was like in his 40s during the trial of Yukon, like his voice was a little bit deeper and he looked had a little bit more serious tone to him. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and then
yeah.
Good.
My big thing is I wish Toph was back, but that voice actress for Toph. But...
Right. And then for Katara, it's a young woman named Jessica Maten. She's a Canadian film actress.
Okay.
She's been in a Jason Momoa TV show. I believe it's called Frontier.
Okay.
With Jason Momoa. And she's in a Canadian TV drama called Burden of Truth. And it's a Canadian film drama about the courtroom. It's a courtroom drama.
But she's experienced.
She's experienced at so
actress.
Yeah. And then last but not least for Aang, you have Eric Nam.
That's who I looked up. Yeah.
Do you know anything about him? Because I
didn't see anything.
Okay. So he's a K-pop singer in South Korea. He was born here, born in the U.S. He became a K-pop singer in South Korea. He was in Forbes 30 under 30 in Asia. And he was like Korea's Man of the Year in 2016.
They like produce a lot of smart people too. Well, that's
Yeah,
awesome. He's a great guy, but can he
he
voice
sings.
act?
So, but he sings, so like he
I
has
mean,
a voice.
anything. Uh,
He sings. Like there, I feel like singers have a range that they can do. And Aang, to be fair, doesn't have all that much in a voice, to be honest.
I want someone to be a good voice actor. That's what I'm trying to say. So I'm okay. Look, he's a K-pop star. Odd choice,
Yeah.
but if he can voice act and he can do it, he can like
Well,
sure
here's
he
the
can do it.
thing.
I just prefer an actor. I prefer someone that is either a voice actor or someone that is really like, for instance, when Chris Pratt did a lot of voice acting. Like Chris Pratt has the charisma,
Sure.
so like it connects really well to voice acting because you have the charisma already.
Right.
Where not all actors can pull that off. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Well, here's the thing. Zahir, the voice of Zahir, he was actually in a metal band, I believe. Like, so he was
Oh,
also a singer.
really?
Yeah. So he was a main singer. Doing my quick research for core stuff, but yeah, like he was a singer. So like, don't. What I'm trying to say is like, don't knock it until you.
No, that's what I'm
Until
saying. I'm
I
gonna
knock
give it a
it.
chance. I'm gonna give it a chance.
Yeah,
It's just
give it
odd
a chance.
choice.
Yeah, I like without seeing like Zahir being the voice of Zahir being a metal band. I was like, oh, I'd be on your side. I'd be like a singer.
No, Zahir was an airbender, not a metal band. All right, let's talk about Dave Bautista.
Yes,
Do you want me to start on this, or do you want to start?
I'm willing to hear what you're trying to say. What you're gonna say?
I hate it.
Okay.
I hate it. I don't. This might be unpopular, but I'm a big Dave Bautista fan.
Sure.
I think I don't know, man. I don't think the charisma. Everyone says, "Oh, he's funny. He has charisma." Does he? I don't know if he does. So it's just like I don't know. Again, if he could be, for all I know, he is the villain that the team fights at the first 5 minutes of the movie, and they take him down. Just like how they got some random MMA fighter for Captain America beat up on in Captain America 2, and I remember everyone freaked out, like, "Oh my gosh, this MMA fighter is gonna be the villain," and you end up being he had like one word, So that could be who he is. I just I can't even say his name. Dave Batista is already for me kind of a dry actor. I mean, he's getting better, but he's kind of a dry, okay actor. I just voice acting, man. I just wish they got a voice actor to be the villain. That's all.
You gotta try at some point.
Yeah, not
I'm not.
my Avatar: The Last Airbender movie. I'm not saying he can't. I'm not saying this is a bad role for him. Like this is awesome
Yeah.
for Dave Bautista to be in a franchise people love, but like, it's kind of like it's like, yeah, I'm gonna get a star actor. Oh, it's your first time acting? Like, not in my film. So, I mean, it's the same thing with voice acting. Like, I would have much rather been like, oh, wow, this. I can't. I obviously don't remember when this news broke, but I'm sure when Korra came out and they were like, Tenzin, the second or third main character of this series, it is J.K. Simmons. I would have been like, oh, awesome. He's a very like talented actor. He's done some voice acting.
Yeah.
It's just like I'm not a big Dave Bautista fan. As soon as you told me that, I was like, that's why I was like, let's do this.
Well, can I burst your bubble real quick?
Go ahead.
Dave, and I just remembered this. Dave Bautista did actually voice act in a English dubbed Studio Ghibli film. He's done voice acting before. So
yes, he's probably have done voice acting before. I'm not saying that. I just don't think he's a voice actor.
I mean, I can't judge because I haven't heard him in a voice acting role.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
I watched the
like
Studio Ghibli film,
being like dubbing English in a movie is I feel like a little bit different than being a lead villain for what we know in a beloved series that people have been probably looking forward for 20 years at this point. But you know what I mean. But again, we'll see. I I would have been a lot happier if they were like this blank voice actor that you know from two or three different roles, or even a good actor. Like they were like, hey, you know what, the guy that plays Negan in Walking Dead. It's like, oh yeah, I know him. He's a pretty good actor. He does a lot of roles. He's a really respected actor. I just don't think Dave Batista is a great actor. I think they keep giving him really good roles because he has the look,
Mhm.
and he has the look, and he keeps being like kind of a really, really, really side character that has a couple, like one or two cool scenes in really popular movies. So you just like in your mind, like think like side villain in James Bond, Dune,
Mhm.
like the least memorable and favorite character in Guardians of the Galaxy. Like all these different things, and it's like you like in your mind, probably a Fast and Furious movie. I feel like that's something you do. But like in your mind, you're like, yeah, David Bautista is a great actor. It's like I don't know if he is or not. So that's all. That's all.
Because he's still young. He's still developing his acting
Yeah.
routine, and because like he was signed on to Marvel for so many years, and
Mm-hmm.
he finally got into Glass Onion, and
Yeah. Again. Yeah.
not at the Cabin. So like, I'm more on your side. Like I know I'm acting like I'm not, but I
Mm-hmm.
am more on your side in the sense of like he's not tuned. He's not tuned in his acting yet. Like he's just
Right.
not. He's not there
Or
yet.
voice acting.
But he's voice acted. But he's voice acted before, and so I think he could do a pretty good job. Not because he's had experience before voice
Mm-hmm.
acting. I mean it is part of it, but it's mostly I see him going into that villainous sphere and being like pure um, sinister, pure, uh, very like what's the like like an evil genius type of deal, like a
Yeah.
like a
I can't see him doing that. Personally, like when I think of Dave Batista, I think of like one note, relatively dry, kind of in a sense sometimes pull off comedy, but it has to be almost like cheesy comedy.
Mhm.
You know, like again, I can see him being Avatar: The Last Airbender or Aang: The Last Airbender starts off with some villain running from the gang, and you see the gang beating up on him, and he's like, "I'm getting away!" Ah! And then boom, gets hit by Toph, and it's a quick little 3 minute action sequence that you see the team working together, and you're like, "This is awesome." And then he has 6 lines, and then maybe he comes back in the movie because the main villain breaks him out of jail to get Toph away from the group or something, and it's like I could see something like that, where it's like Dave Batista come in here for a day, do maybe 20 lines for us. You're kind of a fun piece of the puzzle, but you're not a main villain. We'll see.
It depends on how they tell a story. That's just the way.
Right?
That's also part of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and then what's important to also note that this is also a theatrical release.
Is it?
Yes,
Hmm. I'll definitely
so
see
that's
that.
also important. That theater is going to be packed.
I don't know. I don't think it's gonna be that bad.
It's going to be
Um.
packed.
Nah, it's not gonna be that bad, man.
It's
How
going to be
how
packed.
much how much do you think Avatar
I'm
Aang
not
the
saying
Last
it's going to make
Airbender?
I'm not saying like I'm saying like the first few weekends will be packed. I'm not saying it's
See,
going to
I
be.
disagree. I disagree.
I'm saying I'm not saying it's going to be like a $400 million movie. That's not what I'm saying. I'm
400 million is not packed, huh?
uh,
What?
I'm not saying I'm not. I was just using that as a number.
I
Like
know, I know. I'm just saying. I don't think it's gonna be packed at all. I think it's gonna make
older
open. My
fans will
guess,
come out
my
for a
my
few like
guess,
2 weeks, 3 weeks.
my guess. U.S. I think it's gonna have relatively decent legs if the movie's good. My guess for U.S. opening would probably be around 70 million, 60 million
Okay.
mark, and I can see U.S. worldwide, or I can see U.S. it being theoretical. It's probably not gonna be in the theaters for a while. I can see them putting it out there for 6 to 8 weeks, 6 weeks, and it making 170 US, worldwide 350.
That's where my number about would have been. All I'm saying is was like 2 to 3 weekends. It'll like out like theaters will be packed. At least like
Okay.
the first. I'm not saying the entirety of the time.
I think the opening weekend will be packed in the sense of there's gonna be a lot of Avatar fans.
Right.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Except I think it's going to dry down to 2 and 3 week 2, 3.
I mean,
The weekends, the weekdays will be dry because they all work.
Yeah.
They all work. But
Weekends maybe. I mean, it depends on what. I'm not gonna argue too much about this, but it depends on what your idea of packed is. That's all.
full seats reclined.
Yeah, because packed, like, I think Captain Marvel 2, the Marvels, made like close to 300, 400 million.
Okay.
And they weren't packed. And I might be wrong with that number, but I mean, but yeah, I mean, worldwide it made 206 million. So about half. I remember, man, it was dead when you walk in.
Yeah,
there,
it was
like,
bad.
Females, man. They all cry. They were all pumped when Captain America 1 came out, and then they were like, you know what? We got our moment. Like, oh, yeah, cool. Anyway. It's all about making a great movie at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Captain America.
I was going to say, Wonder Woman was supposed to be a great movie, and I loved Wonder Woman all the way up until the end, and then the ending ruined it.
Captain America, not Captain America, Wonder Woman 1 was pretty good.
That's what I'm saying. I liked it all the way up until the end, and then the end ruined it.
There was a streak of Wonder Woman movies, Marvel movies that were very similar in the sense of like good plot, or like basic plot, but it hit all the notes. Focus on the main characters. The villain's not a big deal because it's a one-off villain anyway. Just build up this main character and the characters around him, like friends and a loved one or whatever it might be. Double good action sequences, and then the end fell short. Like, they did that in so many Marvel movies in a row, like Doctor Strange, Ant-Man, Captain America, like Thor, like all those movies. Most of those movies are like very much going by the same like pages, and Wonder Woman was part of that. The problem is Wonder Woman did it, and then he didn't bring any like. Wonder Woman was kind of by herself, and then went into a couple different movies, and it kind of messed a lot of things up. But I think they waited too long to make Wonder Woman 2. But we'll see. We shall see. Anything else we're going to talk about on this? We're talking about Wonder Woman. Who are we talking about? Avatar. Avatar podcast.
This was just about the news of the release. It's theatrical. It's as of now 10/10/25, all just over the 20th anniversary of when the show came out.
Wow,
isn't that crazy? You're old, Matt. You're old.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, it is kind of like bittersweet to see these characters older. It's gonna be really. I wish it was a series, but it's gonna be really cool to go there and watch these characters older. It's almost like the same, not as much, but it's almost the same. Going back to Marvel, it's like almost the same thing going to see Endgame. Like, you're almost nervous to see it. Like, I'm nervous to watch this movie because I'm like, see, I wasn't nervous watching the Avatar remake, right? Because I was like, this isn't Avatar. This isn't part of the world. Like, this sucks. It doesn't matter.
Right.
This is part of canon.
It's true.
Like, this is part of the world. So, like, if they mess something up, or mess this up, or mess the character up, we have to remember that, like if Toph makes out with Sokka, we're like, that happened. that is real. That is in the canon now. Like, if something happens in this movie, Like, we have to know as fans, like, this is part of canon. And it's been so long of us. I mean, again, we have the comics, we have Korra, but it's been so long of us kind of just guessing what canon things are. And it's like, what happened to Aang? How did Aang die? What happens? I mean, we kind of know, again, comics, like, what happens with Suki and Sokka? What happens with some of these characters? But it's like, this is 20 years later. So in passing, if they're like, yeah, Suki and Sokka broke up. And we're like, like, oh my gosh, and so it's like,
well, we have to remember that they were teenagers, so like it happens, type of thing.
oh yeah. It's just us as an audience don't know. I mean, I believe, and I didn't read all the comics, so maybe they got back together, but I'm pretty sure Zuko and May break up,
Right.
like relatively early on. So like, you think it's gonna be happy ever after, and it ends up being like, no, they break up like 2 months later. So we just have to, as fans, it's kind of like how fans probably felt going into Episode 7 with Star Wars. They're like, okay, this is like, we have the books, we got some comics we can play around with, but like, this is nerve-wracking because if something happens, and some things happened, then it can ruin a lot of the experience, and it's the same with all these movies. The Zuko story, it's like, we don't know, man. So
yeah. And that's another update. I mean, it's a side note, but what also happened at CinemaCon is they released Joker 2 trailer.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that. That was like yesterday, wasn't it?
Yes. And I thought it looked pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a little bit of a teaser. I like Joker 1 a lot. I'm more of a Marvel guy, but I think DC, when they hit good. Like, I thought the Batman was great. And we'll probably start putting out some stuff on other topics besides Avatar when it comes to, like, reviewing movies and shows and stuff. Well, once in a while, maybe, we'll do, like,
right.
We'll see. Maybe when we hit, like, 43 Cabbage Crew members.
We have 43, actually. We got 43 this morning. So you mean 44?
Is this just becoming a podcast episode?
Yes, it is.
We're like a quick 15-minute news story. We're talking about Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel is Avatar. Avatar is Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel is Avatar.
I don't know what to say about that. But yeah, so that being said, yeah, I mean, eventually I would like to start talking about other things. We do have 43, awesome. I would like to start talking about other things than just Avatar, in the sense of, like, obviously the main show is Avatar: The Last Airbender, but maybe like once a month or something we can talk about other things. We'll talk about that later.
Sure.
You guys can vote. Like, we get like one vote. Like, all right, I guess it's going that way.
Comment below.
Comment below. Comment below.
Should we venture forth out of the Avatar world? Should we venture forth into these things called Marvel, these things called DC? So DC. Please comment below if you want us to comment on things that come out that are not Avatar related. Please.
Yeah. Realistically, really though, obviously you say that, sure, you can do that, but comment below on your thoughts of Dave Bautista. I'm interested to see what other fans, not as a human, he's probably a very nice guy. I'm talking his acting skills, specifically his acting skills in scenes where he has to carry the scene. Because if he's a villain, he most likely is going to have to carry some scenes. So I'm interested to see what people say, if anyone comments.
Well, here's the thing.
And I'm interested to see what you say. I mean, are there anything that you can think of when it comes to scenes that Dave Bautista has done?
Well, here's the thing. Mm-hmm. One of his movies that I have not seen yet, and one movie that I've not seen yet, but like I'm half tempted to watch. It's called Knock at the Cabin. And yes, Dave Bautista is the main star in the movie.
Yeah.
Guess who directs it?
Who?
M. Night Shyamalan. So what I think is gonna happen now?
Do you think they called up M Night?
They're not.
hey, man, what do you think about this guy?
What I
He
really
was like, I don't really like working with him. They're like, he's hired.
He's hired. But no, like, you know, you might be right with him not being a good part because, you know, whatever M. Night touches goes the fool's gold.
I mean, I hope he does good. I'm not trying to bash him. I think what he's given, I think he does a pretty decent job in the sense of like he reminds me, if you're talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender, Korra world, he's what he typically is, you know, like that character reminds me of like in a different way, Milo. It's like the 20th main character has a couple great scenes, is fun, does a good job, but could we see a Milo series? I don't know how he would be great. Would Milo be a great character to follow for a whole journey? Maybe. So like I probably not. You know, great as a little like because we've seen characters like Zuko take on it, even characters like Bolin or
Janora.
Tenzin, like Janora take on not just like a whole scene, but like a whole episode by themselves and be like the main. Milo's never been a main focus of a scene by himself. You know, it's like where's that Milo scene that he just takes over or takes charge? So that's kind of how I look at Batista. It's like I can't name the great scene Batista's ever been in the 5 Batista movies I've seen, where I'm like, you know, he took that scene by the throat and he just dominated that scene, and I don't know why, yeah, that's just how I kind of look at it with Dave Batista. Nothing against him, but that's just kind of how I look at him. So we'll wait. So
yeah. I mean, hey, this might be his Mark Hamill moment where Mark Hamill was only known for Star Wars until he went to voice acting.
Well, no, Mark Hamill was a voice actor. Mark Hamill was a voice actor that got this small space role as a live action. He was like, yeah, I'll take this. And it ended up just so happened to be the biggest role of all time that he didn't know he was getting himself into.
Mark Hamill
He was originally,
was he originally a voice actor?
Yeah. He grew up as a voice actor. And he was always a voice actor. I mean, obviously we know him as Joker for the most part, but
Right.
like he was always a voice actor, and that's why we don't really see him in any other movies because he just got this. He was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do this space role about being a space wizard, and it pays well, sure, and it's gonna be like a kind of a kids movie." And it ended up just so happened to be the biggest franchise ever, and he didn't know he was getting himself in. He didn't. No one knew. You know, he even said like I watched the interview where he was like, "I got the script, I was passing around to friends." I was like, "Oh yeah, read this, man. What do you think?" And they're like, "Ah, this thing's fun." And he's like, "Yeah," you know, and so. Yeah, so I mean, I was watching an interview from him. He said he used to always like go to the store and buy like different I think it was like the Muppets and
Sure.
like different like old like Warner Brother characters and try to mimic them because that's like what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
So and then he after Star Wars he kind of went back into it doing the Joker and doing other characters like Ozai and stuff. So yeah. So I mean we'll see. I mean Dave Batista, come on the podcast, Dave. I would love to
Come
talk to you.
on, Dave.
You seem like a great guy. I love Drax. Drax is a cool character.
Yeah.
So
give us the Batista truth bomb. Come on.
Come on, Dave. We can talk about if you're going to be in Secret Wars.
Secret Wars, WWE coming back.
Yeah, bring it on. All right. Well, I already asked. Do your comments that we talked about before. Subscribe. We're at 43. We're trying to get to 50 before we get to 150. It's usually how it works. So
that's right.
Subscribe. Be a cabbage.
Be a cabbage. Not a rotten cabbage.
Don't be a rotten cabbage. Don't.
A nice fresh one that you can cook with, that you can eat randomly and just nibble on.
All right. Goodbye.
Bye bye.